I am here on the Eureka waterfront here in Humboldt County, California. And I am standing in front of a 40-ton concrete creation known as a Dolos. When these strange-looking giants first appeared on the Humboldt Bay Jetties in 1972, they were revolutionary. For the first time, engineers had a tool that would better absorb wave energy, and they were more effective in protecting the harbor than anything that had been used the previous 100 years. And they also reduced the constant battle to keep those jetties intact. Today, these engineering marvels are being commonly used on both coasts of the United States in many jetties and breakwaters. But the first place they were ever used in the United States was our very own Humboldt Bay jetties. So join me as we learn more about the jetty history and how innovations like this figured prominently into that history to protect our coast right here in Humboldt, outdoors. Prior to rock jetties, constantly shifting sands made it very unpredictable and dangerous for ships entering and leaving Humboldt Bay. And many ships ran aground. Finally, after about 20 years of mounting concern over these hazardous conditions, public pressure led to the construction of these rock jetties, as explained to me by Rohde.
Shippers who were bringing in supplies, the public who had to rely on ships to take them down to San Francisco or anywhere else, they wanted a safe harbor entrance, but the government wasn't willing to put up the money. And finally they appropriated some funds to build the South Jetty. And they would bring rock down from the Jacoby Creek quarry by train. They had a dedicated steam engine locomotive out on the spit, and they would bring a car load at a time and they'd just dump it. Not very scientific or not very well planned or engineered. And that rail track kept growing as they kept increasing the size of the jetty. Anyway, they did that down on the South Jetty, and then up here they did something similar for a time. In fact, I'm looking down here at the railroad ties that are about 50 feet from me for the rail line that used to come out here for the North Jetty. So, 1921, they had now a rail line here. They had the system for the South Jetty, and for years, they were just kind of using the same wheel, that they couldn't invent anything better.
And Jerry, when we're talking about loads, we're talking about rock like this, right? This is granite or grandiorite.
Yeah.
This is tough, erosion resistant rock that's going to sit there for a few thousand years without being eroded.
Yeah,
right?
And I think the idea was that it would just sit there for 1,000 years and everything would be okay. But it got moved around.
It got moved around by the heavy wave action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the rocks were moved and went into the channel of the bay.
Wait a minute, I never knew this. So they built this jetty, some of these rocks tumbled in, and now these ships, some of them are hitting these rocks as they're coming in.
Even in the 1930s, there was a passenger ship coming into the bay, and it hit submerged rocks. So even in the 1930s, they were having these problems when part of the jetty became a hazard itself. And so no real progress has been made in improving on this idea of just dumping rock there and hoping that it's going to stay in place for a while. But it's not working. It's very expensive to keep doing that. And actually, after a while, you're going to wear down the quarries. I mean, the massive amount of rock is coming, and you're going to run out of supply. But finally, almost 100 years after their first attempt to do something with the jetties, something new happens that's revolutionary. And it doesn't even come from the United States. And Barry's going to tell us.
I'd be happy to.
I know this.
Well, in the 1970s, along came an innovative engineering solution, the first to be used in the United States, that dramatically reduced the need for the government to come out here and continually patch the jetty, as I learned from Barry Evans.
So Jerry was talking about the ongoing erosion problem for the getting into Humboldt Bay through this fairly narrow strip of water here. And the main problem was right behind us here, right at the entrance to the channel, because that's where the full force of the Pacific storms are going to hit.
Where it juts out into the ocean.
Where it juts out. I mean, here you're somewhat protected by the time you get into the channel. And so they were trying, as Jerry was saying, over the years, they had to keep replacing these huge chunks of rock. They also tried reinforced concrete slabs out there. And in the early 1960s, they were having the same problem we were having here in East London, a city in South Africa facing the Indian Ocean. And they came up with this idea of taking an H shape and turning half of it at 90 degrees. He came up with a prototype which ended up as this. And they ended up calling it a dolos, $1, many dollars say, that's the Afrikaans name for it, which actually means the ankle bone of sheep or goats. And the reason they used that is these little bones were used as jacks. Have you ever played?
Yeah, jacks. I remember the little metal jacks you throw on.
In England, they're called 5 stones. And these were used 3,000 years ago. They found an illustration of kids playing with jacks in a place called Carchemish in Syria. So this is an old toy. They found that these have got some particular qualities that the slabs or even the rocks don't have. First, water can actually get in between them. Oh, yeah. Secondly, if they move, they lock against each other even tighter. And third, instead of having to precisely place them, as Merrifield said, he was interviewed after, he said, I had this idea of these being sprinkled along a coast like kids' jacks. So suddenly you have the answer to the problem of waves just coming in. Some of the water goes through. If it does move, it locks even tighter with its neighbors, and you have something that will last a lot longer. It hadn't been tried before in the US, so this was the test case in the United States for manufacturing these.
So this was the first place these were used in the entire United States?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
And it was a very fast process. 1972, they basically manufactured and placed some 5,000 of these. And now we have about half of them at the end of the north spit here, the other half on the south spit, numbered as they came off the production line.
So each one of these has its own individual number stamped on it?
Exactly. It's all on the side of it. Number 1972, they gave to the Eureka Chamber of Commerce.
They gave this to them in the year 1972?
Exactly,
okay.
Yeah. And there it might have stood in eternity, except they decided they would instead build a hotel there. Leroy Zerlanger, who's part of the Humboldt Maritime Museum, he got his pals together. This was Kernan Construction and the North Coast Fabrication Company. And on August the 15th, 2022, in the space of about 4 hours, they picked up a chunk of concrete from Rohde, brought it over to the boardwalk, put it in place, and there it sits to this day.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
I guess that's a wrap. Let's close it off.
That's it, man.
All right, you got it. Good.
And we're going to be telling you these wonderful stories about Humboldt.
Here
Outdoors.
in Humboldt Outdoors.
Outdoors.
We're gonna be telling you.
And we're going to be talking about...
I just mention one other thing. This is an anecdote.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so Hans Henry Booner, the guy that sailed...
I'm sorry, why don't you start out? And I have an interesting story. Tell me the time.
I have a fascinating story to tell you, man. And will you give me time to do it? Okay, here's the story. And so it's Hans Henry Booner.
He's telling a story. Just
I know, I'm listening.
yeah, listen.
I'm
Don't
telling
keep,
the damn story.
just
That-
don't keep interrupting him.
No, I bet you this will be a
Hey,
great
zip
story.
the lip,
The guy-
okay? It's me that's doing this.
He's doing this.
Yeah.
Guys, so thanks for your time, and
Oh, sure.
we'll see you later.
Okay, my pleasure.
Yeah!
I'll give you your mics back.
Oh, no, we're still on camera.
Oh,
So we'll
Okay.
walk this way, and then we're going to reset you and then bury you.
okay, okay,
Okay, guys, you got it.
okay.
So I'm going to say where we are. Then you're going to say what you're going to be talking about today. And then you're going to say what you're going to tell. And then Humboldt Outdoors. And you say Humboldt Outdoors.
Trouble, stay away from my door. Trouble, come back, don't come around no more. Trouble, stay away from my door. Never stay away from my home. Never stay away from my home. Never go on back and leave my soul alone. Never stay away from my home.
In Humboldt Outdoors.
Perfect. You said it. Let's go.
Okay.